If you want to analyze and compare the performance of your project at some certain point of time, then baseline is one of the most important topic to understand. Please note that a baseline is simply a complete copy or the snapshot of a project plan that you can use as a reference. And using this snapshot, you can compare it to the current schedule. And this way, you can evaluate the progress of your project. And we can find out that if our project is on time or tending to delay from the original plan. Now, in this lesson, we will describe and learn the procedure to create baselines and assign this baseline to our project using the Primavera P6 software. Kindly remember the key point here that once the baseline has been set in Primavera P6, only then we can start tracking the project progress. That way we can start monitoring and can control our project performance anytime during the project execution phase. And note that during project execution, it's very important to detect problems as soon as they occur so that we can minimize the impact of these problems and can complete our project successfully on time. So, in other words, the key concept here is that a baseline, in fact, is a snapshot of our project at one particular point in time. So, we can use the baseline to compare our project to the baseline to see how our project is progressing as compared to the original plan. Please understand that learning baseline concept is very easy and we can easily create and assign baseline to our project using the Primavera P6 software. So to understand baseline more clearly, let me explain this with an example. Assume that we have 4 activities in a project called Baytown IT project. First activity is funding approved, requirements gathered. Then the third activity is coding complete. And the last one, of course, is called ready for implementation. Now, the duration of these activities is the first one is 15 days long. Second one is 10 days. Third one should be completed within 7 days. And the last activity called ready for implementation should also finish within 7 days. Now, the total duration of the project is 38 days. The original planned start date for the first activity called funding approved is 1st of April till 21st of April. And the second activity is going to start on 22nd of April and finishing on 5th of May. Then the third activity starts on 5th of May and it finishes on 13th of May. And lastly, the fourth activity, ready for implementation, is finishing on 14th of May till 24th of May, and it has 7 days duration as well. So these are our planned dates. Now assume that the first activity, funding approved, as you can see here, it has started on 1st of April and it finished on 21st of April. Similarly, the second activity started on 22nd of April and it finished on 5th of May. Now, if you observe here, the planned start date and the planned finish date are exactly the same as with the actual start date and the finish date of these activities. So that means the activity 1 and activity 2, which are funding approved and requirements gathered, these activities has finished exactly as per the planning or what we have planned earlier. Now, this is what we have planned for the implementation of our project. So if we look at the Gantt chart, in the Gantt chart view, of course, in your Gantt chart at the top, we have the months and the weeks displaying there in the timeline. And so the first activity, as you see here, the bar in the Gantt chart view is appearing exactly from 1st of April to 21st of April. And the second activity is started on 22nd of April and finished on 5th of May. Similarly, the planned date for the coding complete, the Gantt bar is showing exactly from 5th of May to 13th of May, and this is the planned date for the activity called coding complete. Similarly, the last activity called ready for implementation, the planned start date for this activity is 14th May, and it should finish on 24th of May. Now, if you observe here, we have two colors, blue color bars and the bars we have in red color. Blue color showing the actual work of these activities. In other words, the blue color shows the actual work during the implementation, and the red color activities are critical, and the work on these activities is not started yet. Now, please note down here, anything changes, say for example, the start, the finish dates are the duration. If we have to change this or due to some project requirements, then definitely it is going to affect the Gantt chart as well. Now, as I said earlier, the activity 1 and the activity 2, the funding approved and the requirement gathered, these activities have started on time and finished without any delay during the project implementation. Now, let's assume due to some unavoidable circumstances during the project implementation phase, we have to start and delay the activity 1 week later than the original planned date. And this is what it is going to happen with the activity called coding complete. The activity 3 called coding complete, due to some unexpected reasons, we cannot start work as planned and we have to shift the activity start date. It's delayed for 1 week, and as you see here, the planned start date is 5th of May, but the new date, since it is delayed, we are going to start on 12th of May instead of 5th of May. Now, you should observe here that the activity bar in the Gantt chart is not going to remain same like before once we will shift our activity planned start date to 12th of May with 1 week delay. So what will happen is, immediately after I will change my planned start date to 12th of May for this particular activity, this activity bar, it is also going to shift as well. Let's say, for example, if I changed my plan date to 12th of May, and let me select this. Now you see, immediately after that, the bar has also been shifted 1 week, and our planned start date is now 12th of May. So what exactly we are doing here? Remember that we are telling Primavera P6 that even though this activity planned start date is on 5th of May. However, we have changed the planned start date to the 12th of May. Now, after delaying this activity start date to 1 week, it's going to finish on 20th of May, as you can see here in the planned finish date. So what does this mean? It means we have a variance between what we planned originally, but then what is actually happening in the project during the implementation. So this indicator that tells Primavera P6 that this is what we have planned originally, but what is currently happening is called baseline. So please remember that our original plan is always referred to as a project baseline. Now, let me right mouse click in the Gantt chart view, and I will select the bars option here. Then the bars window is displayed in front of us, where under the display, I will select and check mark the primary baseline, and I will click apply and click OK. You see, immediately after that, there is yellow bar displaying under every activity in the Gantt chart view. And this is what it was planned initially, and it is our original planned date, and this is what you are seeing here under every activity in the Gantt chart view. So this bar, this yellow bar, as you see below every activity, is what we refer to as the baseline, and it is always going to stay the same here. Remember, for example, what happened in case of our activity 3 called coding complete. Let me undo the change we have made earlier by pressing the Ctrl Z button. So this was our original planned date. Our activity was starting on 5th of May and it was finishing on 13th of May. But due to some unavoidable circumstances and unexpected reasons in the project, we have to delay this activity for 1 week. So I will change the planned start date to 12th of May with 1 week delay. And you see immediately after that, our planned start date is 12th of May and the finish date has changed to 20th of May, as you can see here in the activity table view as well. But you note down here, the baseline, it is staying the same. It remains at its original position. It's not changing. So the key point here that whatever happens during the project execution phase or implementation, although some activities start, finish date may change, but the baseline will still remain the same. So during the project execution phase, whenever we will analyze and find out variance, if a certain activity is aligned with the baseline, as you can see here, funding approved and the requirements gathered activity. If a certain activity is aligned with the baseline, then we'll say that the activity has no variance and is executing exactly as planned, as you can see here for funding approved and requirements gathered activity. But the same case is not there for the third activity called coding complete. It has variance between the baseline and the actual start and the finish dates. What was originally planned and what was actually happened during the implementation phase of the project. So in other words, if a certain activity is aligned with the baseline, then we'll say that the activity has no variance and executing exactly as planned. But once you see that there is a difference between the baseline bar and then of course the actual implementation bar, then you will say that you have a variance. And then immediately we'll start tracking the activities that are having variance and we'll find out the root cause, then understand exactly that what is happening and will tend to eliminate the impact on the project finish date. Okay, and I hope you now have the concept of baseline now, which is what we are going to discuss next, and we'll learn about creating and assigning the baseline in the Oracle Primavera P6 in our coming discussion. Okay, now let's move back to our original project and let's learn the procedure to create and assign the baseline to our project as we have discussed earlier. Now, creating the baseline is very easy, and for this we have to visit the project menu from the top. I will click on project from the top and we'll select the maintain baseline option from here. Okay, the maintain baselines window, as you see here, it is opened in front of us. To create the baseline, I will click on add button here. I have the new small window appearing. What would you like to do? And save a copy of the current project as a new baseline, and this radio button is already selected there. So I will leave it selected and as it is, then I'll click on OK. Now you see a new entry called ARBA Head Office Building Project -B1 is appearing under our project name. Now here the B1 simply means the baseline 1. Now let me click on this, and under baseline name, the same name of our baseline is appearing here. If I want to modify, of course I can do that, but at this stage I don't need to modify anything. But under baseline type, I will click on this drop down arrow and will select initial planning baseline. Then I will click on close, and you see this is very simple. This is how we create a new baseline for our project. Now to assign this newly created baseline to our project, I will click on project menu from the top and will select the assign baselines option from here. Now the assign baselines window is opened in front of us. Under project, you see our project name is there, and under project baseline I will select Arba Head Office Building Project P1, which is the baseline we have just created. Under user baselines, under primary, I will click on drop down and will select the newly created baseline. I will leave the secondary and tertiary as it is, since we don't have any secondary and tertiary baseline. So I will click on OK button on the right side. And we have assigned the newly created baseline to our project already. Now to display the project baseline in the Gantt chart view, I will right click here and click on bars option. Now the bars window is opened in front of us. Now to display the primary baseline, under display, I will click on this primary baseline option, and along with this I have to select the baseline milestone as well. So I will click apply and click OK on the right side. You see immediately after that you will have a yellow bar under every activity in the Gantt chart view. In fact, this is our baseline that we have just created. And other than that, if you see under milestone also, you will have a small yellow diamond like symbol there, which is the baseline for our milestone. We can also display our baseline in the activity table view as well. And we can do this by clicking on columns icon from the top. In the layout toolbar, I can click on available options, and from here let me click on find. In the find window, under find what, I will type baseline project start and click on find next. Now you see under dates we have the baseline project start and the baseline project finish options there. So I can add the baseline project start by clicking on add to the list button. Similarly, let me add the baseline project finish. Okay, let me move the activity name after the activity ID. Okay, now let me click apply and click OK. Now you see the baseline project start and baseline project finish columns are already displaying there in the activity table view. Now if you can observe here, the baseline project start and baseline project finish dates are exactly the same as the planned start and the planned finish dates, because basically these are the same thing. So important to remember here that the baseline project start and the baseline project finish dates are equal to the project start and finish dates. This is due to the fact that we have just created our project baseline and have taken the snapshot of our original and initial plan just now. So there is no variance at this stage because we have not started working and executing our project yet. And this is the reason our baseline project start and the baseline project finish dates are similar like the project start and finish dates. and of course you will not see any variance here. Okay, great. We have finished this particular lesson about the project baseline. Let me quickly recap what we have learned in this particular lesson. We have described and learned the baseline concept in detail. Then we have learned the procedure to create the project baseline in Oracle Primavera P6. After this, we have also gone through and have discussed the procedure to assign the baseline that we have created for our project already. Okay, then that's it about the baseline, and I hope the lesson has been useful for you, and I see you in the next lecture. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.